Good afternoon, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us here nationwide at 5. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Good afternoon, Siobhan.
Good afternoon, Sir Hughes.
Good. Well, in our cover story this afternoon, the ousted PNP caretaker for Central Kingston, Lawrence Rowe, continues in the news. This morning he told me that he has both written and audio recording evidence to prove that the party's leadership offered him an appointment to the Senate and membership to in the board of a housing state agency, along with $15 million in resources as part of negotiations to transition him out of the seat.
He made the revelations in an hour-long interview this morning with Mr. Hughes. He says he stands by his social media posting alleging that a Senate seat was one of 3 offers made to him to step down quietly.
I stand by those statements, yes.
And do you have the receipts to support those statements?
I can validate anything that I post.
You have them in writing?
I can validate them.
Yes. How can you validate them? By what method?
I wish not to disclose my source, but I have sufficient evidence in writing and on record as well.
In writing and on record, as in audio record?
Correct.
So you have a tape recording?
I have it on record.
In text and audio?
Yes.
Wow. Did the party leader ever offer you what you are saying Dayton Campbell committed on behalf of the party leader? In your discussions with the party leader, what did he offer you? Or did he offer you anything?
I will be responding to the letter sent to me by the party leader on the 10th and the correspondence issued by the General Secretary on the 11th. And some of those discussions will be in the release. What I am concerned about now is what are the compelling reasons why I was pulled as a candidate. I am yet to hear those reasons. And if you go through the letter sent to me by the leader of the party, it spoke about sounding in the constituency. And if you would go back to the selection process, it speaks to applying, being interviewed by the region, clearing the integrity commission. And once you clear the integrity commission, then you are then polled. If you reach a threshold of 25% or above of the voter intention, then you face the delegate. Now, the polling, I am sure, is more than 200 people from the constituency. The delegates who I face surpass 500. I want to know how could a sounding trump that? And who were the individuals they spoke with? Who are these key influencers? Because in the chronology of events that I spoke to, the General Secretary asked me for a list of detractors, which never surpassed 10 individuals. And you met with 6 individuals, the former Member of Parliament, Ronald George Tway, and ex-Don, Donovan Ainsworth. You met with the former Constituency Secretary, Opal Lawrence Pike, the former Constituency Treasurer, Martha Vidal, the man who I gave a thrashing in a selection, Patrick Sterling, and a Gary Burton, who is not from Central Kingston. Those individuals I would have faced during my selection. And I am yet to get a clear understanding as to how and what could have been said by them or what evidence they could have provided that I am not in a position to win the constituency. I am yet to hear those. I wrote to the leader and said to him, how could a former Minister of Justice preside over a process where accusations are leveled against me and a verdict reached without an opportunity to face and respond to my accusers? In his response, he said there are no accusations. At the meeting in January, he then retracted.
Lawrence Rowe in that interview with me this morning. He also alleged that PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell misled the party leader, Mark Golding. The leader retracted what?
That they were indeed accusations. And then he went on to say, well, as you are well aware that we met with individuals, you could confirm the time that I met with them, where I met with them, who were the individuals present, and most of what was said in the meeting. He said that to my face when he was retracting what he told me. And when I asked him why weren't the other individuals who I enlisted to the General Secretary weren't a part of this meeting, and he said, why would they be a part of it and they never requested a meeting? And I said, no. Nobody requested a meeting. I provided the names and contact information to the General Secretary. And he was like, really, Dayton? Really? Which tells me he was misled. The General Secretary, as I said to you before, requested a list of the tractors in the constituency. And he made it very clear that come 2025, it's full campaigning. And those people must be brought in line with the campaign. When I first provided the 3 names to him, he said, then I have the audio with him. Then for them a little bit of people, then there are no issues. I provided less than 10 names. They met with less than 10 people to determine my fate. The 10 individuals who never supported my candidacy to begin with, I won decisively on a list that I should not have won to begin with. That list, those groups were built by Ronald Tweed, Emmanuel Duncan Price, and the council for the Almontown Division, Charmaine Daniels, none of whom supported my candidacy. The people were very clear who they want to represent them. They know every intricate details about me. Nobody in the PNP or elsewhere has any secret for Lawrence Rowe. None. And if people want to know what are the compelling reasons why I started with a voter intention of 50.7 done under the poll up until April of last year when Don polled the constituency, Lawrence Rowe, Steve McGregor, and Steve McGregor versus Donovan Williams. The party is yet to share the results of those polls with me. Don Anderson is yet to share those results with me. When we had the meeting last year at the constituency office.
So hold on. How you know the results if they haven't shared them with you?
The General Secretary, when the constituency committee impressed upon him to disclose the results, he asked, do you ever believe Steve McGregor could beat Lawrence Rowe in a poll? And he said the only thing he is prepared to say is that the party is ahead of the JLP. And he will not be disclosing the finer details of the polls because he believes the poll was interfered with.
What that mean?
His comments, I don't know.
That's Lawrence Rowe, the disgruntled former Central Kingston caretaker for the People's National Party, suggesting that the General Secretary, Dr. Dayton Campbell, he's alleging that he may have misled the party leader, Mark Golding, in terms of Lawrence Rowe's viability for that potential seat. Well, in a letter to Rowe, Mr. Golding noted that he did not get favorable feedback from influential comrades in the constituency and that it reaffirmed the assessment that he could not unite the party machinery in the area. According to the party leadership, the PNP's Integrity Committee had also previously reported that he was not fit and proper to be the caretaker. But, according to Rowe, no compelling reason has been presented to support the argument that he is not fit and proper to lead Central Kingston. He says matters identified by the committee to include bill payments for phones procured for an election were non-issues.
I guess you're preempting my full response, but I will say this in short. Alright? The party leader the General Secretary and the party chairman did have a meeting with me after I was interviewed by the Integrity Commission.
Integrity Committee, the Integrity
The
Committee.
Integrity Committee of the party.
Yes.
He did say to me that they opined that I am not a fit and proper candidate going forward, aspirant at the time going forward. And then I then asked, what are the reasons? He said they never gave him anything in writing. It was a meeting where they orally communicate to him because they report only to the leader. They communicated orally to him about me and the other candidates. I said, is that it? He said, yes. I left the conference room. I went to the party's restroom and I was in tears and I said, how could this be? When I went back into the conference room, I said, leader, what are the compelling reasons? He said, there was some phone issue. There was some phone issue. I said, leader, in 2011, I was chairman for Region 3 PNP Wyoming. The Constitution named me as the principal officer for the Wyoming in the region. We entered into a contractual arrangement with Lime to provide EUG handsets. These were given to candidates. They procured them for the 2011 campaign. Coming out of that campaign, only one candidate paid their bill. There was an investigation done by the Internal Affairs Committee of the party who could not produce a report because in their investigation they found that their candidates did in fact owed the bill. And I was only asked to renegotiate with Lime Jamaica so that the contract would be in my name and not the party's name. And I said I will pay the bill in full, and that I did. So that was a non-issue. He then moved on to a court matter. I said, on the questionnaire, I did disclose that I was charged for disobeying constable command, resisting arrest, and another charge. And that matter was disposed of at the Affatry Courthouse. I currently have a case with the government over that unlawful arrest. Dayton Campbell then opened the file and showed him that what I was saying is in fact true. Then he moved on to my involvement in the 2020 general elections. I said, but those issues never came up during the Integrity Commission hearing. And I said, I can disclose to you that I worked in West Rural St. Andrew. Everybody knew that I stood against the Ronnie's regime. I challenged him for chairmanship. Julian presided. When I was first initially nominated, I was the sole nominee in 2016. Paul Burke instructed Norman Perry to discontinue the conference. We never had a conference until 2018 when Ronnie and I faced off. And Julian, the then General Secretary, reported that Ronnie won that election by 14 votes. I requested a recount, and Julian said in no uncertain terms that it is not on, and who am I to request a recount? I said 7 months later, there was a selection contest. Imani was the victor. There were issues that arose in that contest, which I will not disclose on this media house, right? And I will never compromise my security. The party knew of my talents, and I was asked by the then PNP General Secretary Dexter Martin to assist the then PNP President in West Rural St. Andrew. And that I did. So people have to make up their minds whether my influence is so great that people stayed away from the process by virtue of me not being active in that campaign, or was I in the constituency, as some would purport, aggressively campaigning against Imani or paying people not to vote? But the three scenarios could not be the same, could not be true.
We are bringing you back excerpts of a virtually hour-long interview this morning with the discarded PNP caretaker for Central Kingston, Lawrence Rowe. He told me he is 36 years old, an accountant, and he reflected on his journey in life and in the PNP when he broke down in tears. Yeah, this is what he said.
Let me explain who I am. And I made a posting on Facebook of circumstances of birth, how I grew up,
You're getting... I can understand. You grew up in rough circumstances.
Pero I withstood the test of time to be where I am today. Never grew up with gold spoon in my mouth. I have fought many battles to be the person, become the person who I am today. The village grew me, as my mother alone could not afford to. She raised 10 children. I grew up in a modest board structure. No light, no water, no toilet facility.
Where?
We had to do what we call is parachuting when we moved to Horatio Drive in Chancery Hall. I had to beg drive to school. I sang on bus and collect money. I sold sweets in school while I should be focusing on my education. I started reading at age 9. Struggles that I have gone through to be where I am today. I told Mark Rowling, Dayton Campbell, and Peter Bunting in that meeting that no promise of any kind in the future would delay me from not representing the people. And I said, it is all or nothing. I'm not going to betray the people who have been giving me their support for more than 2 decades for any future positions or any money in hand. I was very clear. The leader then committed to continue his soundings. And to date, I am yet to hear the compelling reasons. You know what is bothersome? When the General Secretary also disclosed in that meeting that he scheduled a meeting with the constituency executive, and the leader said, I didn't know this.
Mm-hmm.
And Peter Bunting said in that meeting, and leader, you have to make up your mind soon. You cannot be delaying in perpetuity. When we had that meeting at the PNP's headquarters, Dayton Campbell told the executive that we have 2 roads to take. 1, scorch earth and mash it up. Or 2, we work with the party's candidate, which is not the candidate of your choice. In any event, the PNP will form the government, and you must decide if your member of parliament will be in opposition or government.
What? Dayton Campbell said you have two choices, scorched earth or...
Support the party's candidate, which is not the candidate of their choice. Whichever road, the party will form the government, and they must decide whether their member of parliament is in government or opposition.
This is at a meeting of who?
the constituency executive with Angela Brown Burke and Dayton Campbell.
That's Lawrence Rowe speaking about his musings with the party after before his removal as the Central Kingston caretaker. He also disclosed to Mr. Hughes that he is concerned about his safety. He says he intends to write to the Commissioner of Police and the Minister of National Security.
You have questions about your safety?
Yes, yes.
You don't feel safe?
No, I don't.
Have you asked for help in that regard?
I'll be writing to the Commissioner of Police and the Minister of National Security not long from now.
Why are you concerned?
The multiple calls that I've been receiving about saving the party, don't burn the house down, all sorts of it, is that everybody is in a state of paranoia. And the only question that I've been asking, I'm very consistent. What are the compelling reasons that I can't run, but I must go out there and mobilize support for somebody else? What are those reasons?
Mr. Rowe also told me that he was in charge of Mark Golding's nomination for party president.
The multiple calls that I've been receiving about saving the party, don't burn the house down, all sorts of is that everybody is in a state of paranoia. And the only question that I've been asking, I'm very consistent. What are the compelling reasons that I can't run, but I must go out there and mobilize support for somebody else? What are those reasons? I am yet to hear them. Mm-hmm. The people of Central Kingston are yet to hear them. I said nobody can keep any secret from me. If some people believe that they have any secret from me, they must put it out there. Because until they do, I am going to continue to ask those pertinent questions that I have.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Rowe.
You cannot receive a report from the Integrity Committee of the party. And when I wrote the letter of appeal, after consulting both with Peter Bunting and Dayton Campbell, the leader agreed to send me back to the Integrity Committee of the party. They asked, why am I reappearing? I had to explain to them what I was told. And the only thing they said is for me to respond to what was said to me. And when I responded, they said, okay, and I left. If they opined again that I was not fit and proper on the second occasion, why did you set aside their opinion to allow me to face the polls and the delegates? Those are some serious questions. Why was I placed as one of your 4 picks to the party's executive? Why was I in charge of your presidential nominations?
You were in charge of Mark Golding's presidential nomination?
All of them.
Meaning what? What does that involve, you being in charge of his presidential nomination?
I will respond fulsomely at an appropriate time.
I gather you were the data man. Is that so?
I was the data person for the I was employed to the People's National Party as its data manager. I produced the targets for all the constituencies, divisions, and polling divisions.
Oh.
Tell me, what are the compelling reasons?
When were you employed as a data manager?
In 2021.
Oh. So you were the numbers man?
Mm-hmm.
You were the man who would look at Go ahead.
I am still the numbers man.
You're still the data manager?
I am no longer the data manager.
But?
I am no longer the data manager, but I'm still the data manager. I will leave it at that.
Well, some information came to me this morning that as the word used, data specialist, you have locked certain people out of accessing certain data. Is that so?
Really?
I'm asking you.
I will not respond to that.
You haven't locked out anyone?
I will not respond to that.
You're a political infighter, aren't you? You know, as you said, you're a tactician. 20 years of political experience. You know how to fight, Lawrence Rowe. Let me ask you, SSP McGregor will be introduced to the constituency of Central Kingston tomorrow, the 15th of January. Will you and your supporters be supporting him? Mr. Rowe?
I will not be present at that presentation.
And your supporters?
I can only account for myself.
And some of your supporters told us yesterday that they will be painting the constituency office at 14 North Avenue green. Are you aware of that?
I would not advise that.
So the word to your supporters? Don't.
That is so.
That is Lawrence Rowe speaking with Cliff Hughes. I wonder what he means in terms of implications of him being the data manager for many of the PNP's top bigwigs.
Well, for the party, but he said he was actually employed sometime 2021, 2022, and he's no longer the data manager, but he's still the data manager. I don't know how to read that. But he also revealed something that we didn't know, I didn't know. He revealed that he was an employee of Rowe Trading Limited. It's a local commodities trading company in which the PNP president, Mark Golding, and opposition leader in the Senate, Peter Bunting, were the primary shareholders according to Rowe. How old are you, Mr. Rowe?
36.
36 years old. And how long have you been in the political field?
Over 20 years.
So you started as a teenager?
Yes.
Where?
In Central Kingston, while Victor J.N. Cummins was our member of parliament.
And where did you go to school?
Caretaker High. I attended 2 infant, 2 primary, 1 all-age, 1 high school.
And after high school, what have you done?
Continued my studies in accounting and voluntary services as well.
You're an accountant?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. And you practice accountancy?
Yes. My last employment was at Rowe Trading Limited.
Rowe Trading, never heard of that.
It's a commodities company. We import fish feed, rice, and other food supplies. Peter Bunting and Mark Golding were the primary shareholders. I'm not sure if they're still shareholders.
Peter Bunting and Mark Golding?
Yes.
They were, you say, the primary shareholders of Rowe, what is it?
Rowe Trading Limited.
Oh, and you worked for Rowe for how long?
2 years as the chief financial officer.
Oh, and at that time, Mr. Golding and Mr. Bunting were the primary shareholders?
Yes.
Oh, so you worked for them. You were an employee of theirs.
Yes, I was.
Oh, when did you leave there?
In January of last year.
Why did you leave?
I am not ready to disclose the circumstances yet.
Were you fired?
There was a separation.
Mutually agreed?
Mutually agreed.
But you weren't fired?
No.
But there were problems?
There were some issues.
Related to?
I don't want to go into that yet, but it is nothing incriminating on my part, for sure.
And certainly not on their part?
Correct, yes.
Lawrence Rowe.
So, Mr. Hughes, I did some digging while listening to that clip just to verify some of the details provided by Mr. Lawrence, and I did pull up a Gleaner article which says Rowe appears to have, and this is in 2021, I believe? Yes, March 2021, it says Rowe appears to have significant financial muscle behind it to fund its food business rollout and scaling, with its shareholders including investment bankers and financiers Peter Bunting and Mark Golding, who are said to have no upfront presence in the running of the business. And the CEO of that business is also Omar Newell.
That's the PNP caretaker for Central St. Mary. Yeah. Well. So there you have it. Make what you will of it.